Yo, what's going on, everybody? We are back here with another show because the lovely people at the second hotel I've checked into just now allow me to check in super early. So we have time to do a play for Monday Night Football. Before we get into that, let's quickly review Sunday football. If you do not live under a rock and you are subscribed to our YouTube channel and you've trailed the plays that we dropped for the Sunday show, which is I think the only thing we really dropped over the weekend because we've been pretty busy with the business industry stuff we're doing here in Vegas. We hit most of them, so you made profit if you tailed everything. I think the only thing that missed out of the show was the money line play, but the totals, the spreads, all that stuff hit. So we are here with Monday Night Football. We have the Kansas City Chiefs and the New Orleans Saints. We also something that also hits. If you were paying attention to the YouTube again, we mentioned that we have a new partnership with a fantasy-based app/site called bnfantasy.com. So we dropped a video for that as well over the week, or last week anyway. If you followed what I was saying in the video for was this week five? Week five. If you did exactly what I was saying to do, you turned however much money you put on that play and you 5x'd it. So we had some people put, $10 down, make 50 bucks, and people put 20 bucks, that 20 bucks down and make $100. That's the best part. You can kind of choose whatever you want to do. But it's extremely easy to win on bnfantasy.com. So if you're like, hey, I missed that video, I'm not sure what you're talking about, let me help you. So if you live, wrong one, this one. If you live in one of these states, a blue state, so you know, California is included on this, Texas, Florida, three major states that don't have, well, I guess technically Florida has sports betting, but the Hard Rock Sportsbook sucks. Um, but if you live in any of these blue places, and Washington, D.C. is part of that as well, then you can play on bnfantasy.com. And if you're not sure what that is, go back to the YouTube, I know you're watching this on YouTube, but go back to the channel, look for the BN Fantasy video we dropped last week, and that explains exactly how to play and how easy it is to win on that. So they have, this is just like a promo image they have for today's games, which kind of just shows you really quickly how things work in a nutshell. So this is just, they have two different game modes, and this is just one of their game modes. So essentially, if you look at the left section, you're pretty much putting Patrick Mahomes passing yards against Derek Carr. So traditionally on like a sports book, you would do like over under 225 passing yards or something like that for Patrick Mahomes. And if he gets less, then you lose. But in this scenario, when you put a player against another player, both players can suck. As long as yours doesn't suck as much as the other player, then you can still win. So if the entire game is just garbage, you still have a chance to win money. So in the example over here on the left side, where you see Patrick Mahomes and Derek Carr, you see underneath Derek Carr's name for tonight, it says plus 23 bonus, plus 23 yards bonus. That means at the end of the game, if you add 23 yards to Derek Carr's passing yards, is he going to have more with the 23 yards added than Patrick Mahomes at the end of the game, or is Patrick Mahomes going to beat Derek Carr by at least 24 passing yards? So this is a really cool, really fun new way to look at player props and everything. And of course, you can utilize PlayerProps.ai, which is the whole reason why we're talking about this. You can go to Patrick Mahomes passing yards, see what the AI projection is, go to Derek Carr passing yards, see what the AI projection is, and still see which one is going to be leading over the other. And then looking over to the right side, we see Chris and Xavier. Same thing. This one here, the promo is showing you receptions. So is Chris going to have more receptions than Xavier Worthy if Xavier gets a one reception bonus? Now, again, if this is a push, if like Xavier finishes with two and Chris finishes with three, then yeah, it's essentially a push and it just cancels each other out. No harm, no foul. You don't lose any money. But you're essentially saying it's going to get at least one more than Xavier. So that's I know, and I did mention the part where at the top there's a $250 sweat free bonus. So you can deposit $250 using the promo code sweat free. You can play $250 on either one of these, and if it misses, you get that 250 bucks back. It'll be site credit, but you can still use it for the other contest. So again, you can use the tools that I already have. We don't even need to create new tools for it. Just look at the stat, go to playerprops.ai, look at passing yards, compare the two, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now, to go one step further on that, let's actually look at the passing yards for those two players for Monday Night Football. So let me look here real quick. Okay, so right now Derek Carr has a 240 projection and Patrick Mahomes has a 250 projection. So if you remember in the image that I just showed you, or let me pull that back up here again. Derek Carr is getting a 23-yard bonus. So right now our AI says there's only a 10-yard difference. So in theory, If Derek Carr finishes with the exact projection of 240 and Patrick Mahomes finishes with the exact projection of 250, if you could choose Derek Carr plus 23 yards, then you win. So again, 250 bucks, put it on Derek Carr plus 23 yards. If Patrick Mahomes destroys him in passing yards and exceeds that difference, then of course you get that 250 back as credit. So yeah, that's bnfantasy.com. I think the links in the description. I mean, the links in the Discord. Just look at the Be in Fantasy channel. If you need to see the state map again, the state you can either rewind or look at the Discord. Everything's there. But yeah, when they put players against players for props, it just makes it a trillion times easier. Just to use projections and more often than not, choose the right option. And the best part is, again, for the millionth time, this is in many states that don't have legal betting. So Texas is always like, man, I wish I had sports betting. California, man, I wish I had sports betting. Well, guess what? You don't have sports betting legalized, but you do have this fantasy app that's as close as you're going to get. So be in fantasy.com. And then don't forget that promo code, right? Don't forget this promo code here, sweat free, because that's how you get the up to $250 back. Now, you don't get $250 back if you don't do 250 bucks. It's whatever you put on your first entry. So if you're only doing, let's say you deposit 100 bucks and your first entry, you only do $50 and it loses, then you get that $50 back. It's just up to 250. But again, that, okay. So still focusing on passing yards. If you pay attention to any of the NFL shows I do, which hopefully you've seen all of them by now and you pay attention to all of them, I typically like to look for a 20% difference on passing yards. Derek Carr does have a nice 31-yard difference on the true difference between his line and his projection. 15% is close to 20, but it is not 20. It's still something that we can essentially consider to look at. So back pocket, we're going to put Derek Carr in our back pocket there. He's going to go over, he's going to get at least 210 yards. All right, let's go back to the receiving yards section here. Something that I mention on every show, and for some reason, a lot of people that watch the show aren't listening, is I say stay away from baby lines. Baby lines are receiver lines that are under 40 yards. So, for example, Juju Smith-Schuster, he's a receiver. He has a line of 18.5 that is less than 40. That is a baby line. The reason why I don't Okay, let me rephrase that. You don't have to stay away from baby lines. You can do whatever you want to do. It's your money. But I personally don't play baby lines because I like knowing that my receiver is going to get a certain amount of targets in the game, which increases his likelihood of having receiving yards. So I don't want a scenario where I'm hoping that my receiver I'm hoping that he gets at least two targets and he catches both of them. No, I want my guy to get like 6, 7 targets and hopefully he catches all of them, if not just most of them. But luckily, for this, both of the top plays are non-baby lines. However, the difference isn't that great. Chris only has 5 yards difference, less than 5 yards difference between his line and his projection. 7.6, that's not that good. And then the only other positive one for tonight is Rashid Shaheed, uh, which doesn't even have a full 1.0 difference. So there's no good receiving yards plays here. Let's take a hop, skip, jump down to rushing yards real quick. You can do Patrick Mahomes. Actually, you're not going over because it's negative difference. But I do not like quarterback rushing yards unless it is a rushing quarterback. And I'm talking like a Jaden Daniels uh, style of play, not somebody that just you're betting $100 hoping that they scramble once for zero point 0.5 yards. So this is interesting. Even if I wanted to target unders, there's not even anything really here for the unders. I mean, Alvin Kamara under 65.5 yards. If you need to know what the game script is in your head of how you expect this game to go. Do you expect Kansas City to win? If you do, what happens when the team wins? They run the ball more. What happens when the team is losing? They pass more. So Alvin Kamara, if you think Kansas City wins, then and you think they're gonna be passing more, Alvin Kamara can still get the passing yards, but this is not the prop you're looking at. We're looking at rushing yards. So maybe he doesn't eclipse 65.5. But again, there's not enough there. And the fact that he's hit this a lot, I don't want to, yeah, we're not looking at that. Let's look at receptions here. Chris is at 4.6. Oh, let's look at the other prop that we had for beinfantasy.com. So what was it? Chris versus Xavier. So Chris is at 4.6. Xavier's at 2.1. So essentially, so 4.5, 4.5. Problem with Kansas City is you're like, oh, well, all the receivers are hurt. Xavier Worthy's gonna have a great opportunity, but I feel like he's just gonna get the best. He's gonna get the better defender covering him. Granted, he's the fastest player out of the combine. If we are looking at the projection side of things, yes, we know that Rice is out for the season now. I think if he gets three, if he gets three, which is more than his projection is essentially saying, and if Chris gets five, which is kind of where the projections are leaning towards, then essentially that other prop hits. But I don't know if I like receptions on bnfantasy.com. So you can look at the other things as well, but use this tool for BN Fantasy to figure out all the what the most optimal matchups are. So the only thing we like right now, I think, is Derek Carr passing yards, both for bnfantasy.com and for his over 209.5. We can look at anytime touchdown. So if you remember anything I say ever, we like projections that are 1.0 or higher. Alvin Kamara is really close to that, but he is not at 1.0. Where's his touchdowns been this season? One. Oh yeah, he had that crazy game. 1, 4, none, one. Mm, not in love with it. Not in love with it. Check, see if there's anything different that DraftKings is popping up. No. See, receiving yards 2.5. We're not going to fall for that trap, DraftKings. We're not playing baby lions here. Let's look at rushing and receiving. All these projections are crazy. So I'm gonna look at something real quick. So Kansas City money line has a negative difference, which I can only assume means that the Saints spread is what's favored. Yep, 55%. So it seems like it's not going to be a high scoring game, even though both teams typically can put up big points. Based on all the projections, it seemed like it's not going to be high scoring, which means Carr is going to cover his bnfantasy.com points bonus contest. Saints cover a plus 5.5 spread. And I'm assuming this is going to be under. Oh, it's actually not really even recommending the over. The line's 43. The projection's 43.69. So that's not really leaning enough any direction. That 0.68, 0.69 difference there. Um, look at betting trends real quick. So this tool here, if you haven't played around with the site yet, or you've been ignoring me, all the videos I've been doing for you, this tool is 1000% free to view. There's zero excuse that you're not actually looking at this tool for all sports. And speaking of all sports, guess what tomorrow is, ladies and gentlemen? It's NHL opening night. If I have time tomorrow, we might do a play for the day for NHL. We'll see what happens. But anyway, here is the public money. So if you're like, there's a lot of numbers here, percentages, what the crap is this? What does this mean? Click this gosh dang button. It says click to learn. Tap to learn it, click to learn it. You don't have any excuses anymore for not understanding how these tools work. There's a big button on the top of everyone. If you're not tapping on it, that is your fault. You need to hashtag apply yourself. But man, there's 29% sharp money indicator on the New Orleans Saints to win outright over Kansas City. 62% of the tickets are on plus 5.5. 61% of the money is on plus 5.5. And it looks like a lot of people are betting that it's going to go over 43. I don't know if I like the total that much. I was hoping that the projections would be less than that. So I think for this show, I think what we're going to do is we're going to look at two things here. And this is not, you can parlay these if you want, but this is a two single bet. You know the show by now. We always do single stuff, right? We focus on single plays and we parlay the best single plays we like. There's a new abbreviation, a new acronym to get into your brain. It's called SBP, singles before parlays. You never want to open up your sportsbook app at the start of your evening or your day or whatever and be like, okay, I'm looking for a 10 pick parlay. I'm looking for a 5 pick parlay. No, that's how you're losing money. That's why you're watching this, because you're losing money. Stop doing what you're doing. If you're losing money, it's not working out. It's not because you're unlucky. It's because you're putting yourself in a position to be unlucky. You should put yourself in a position to be lucky. And how that works is you do the right stuff when it comes to choosing what goes into your bet slip. So again, we're going to single bet Derek Carr over 209.5 points, 209.5 passing yards. But I did not check on DraftKings what his line is. Let me check that real quick. It might be better on DraftKings. Nope. FanDuel's better. 209.5 passing yards. FanDuel. Over 209.5. And then we also like Saints plus 5.5. And then the last thing is for everybody that's in, the non-sports betting states. We're not focusing on the Chris and Xavier one. If you want to, you can, but our projections essentially say Chris will beat Xavier by over one reception. You can do that if you want to. The play for being fantasy for this particular mode that you're seeing on the screen, which is called Rivals, where it's just a player versus player or two players versus two players or anything like that. This particular promotion, we're looking at Derek Carr plus 23 yards. So essentially, when you go to the app, after you sign up for a BNFantasy.com account, you'd be clicking at the bottom of Derek Carr where it says pick team B. And you choose whatever amount of money you put on there. Bada bing, bada boom. It's easy as that. I'm glad I was able to get a show in for you guys. Make sure you click the thumbs up, subscribing to the channel, and then joining us in the Discord where we're dropping other BN fantasy plays and other things for everybody. That's how it works here. NHL tomorrow, kids. We'll see you then.